Honestly, I thought the only story coming out of COTA was Tyler Reddick's three-peat, but then I saw Shane van Gisbergen's name getting dragged into the cheating conversation. Because the second SVG finished runner-up, the internet basically tried to turn him into the judge, jury, and executioner for 23XL racing. And what he actually said puts NASCAR in a really awkward spot. So, here's what we're doing today. We're going to break down the moment the COTA cheating row went from a few salty tweets to a full-blown narrative. The wild part about SVG's career path that almost kept him from NASCAR entirely. What he said right after losing at COTA, and why his reaction is the opposite of what people online are claiming. Then we'll finish with what to expect next at Phoenix, where the entire season could tilt again in one afternoon. Now, first quick background, because context matters here. COTA is supposed to be SVG's territory. Road courses are where he's been the headline, the measuring stick, the guy everyone's trying to solve. And coming into this race, the conversation was basically, okay, who can beat him? Reddick controlled the end of the race, kept the gap safe, and left SVG with that rare feeling drivers hate, admitting out loud, a second place that makes you feel like you lost. And the second that happened, you could literally watch the internet split into two groups. One side is celebrating 3 wins in 3 races. History, dominance 23XL is cooking. The other side went straight to the courtroom storyline, the lawsuit settlement, the idea that NASCAR owed 23XL something, and now they're letting them get away with it. And I'm not even paraphrasing what people are saying. They're saying it with their whole chest. One post literally asked, was this part of the settlement agreement with 23XI and NASCAR? Boring. Another one went harder. 23XI is clearly cheating, and NASCAR is allowing it. Tyler Reddick is not that good of a driver. Something definitely happened with the lawsuit. Then you get the sarcastic ones, like, settle the lawsuit. Bam. 3 wins in the first 3 races of the 2026 NASCAR season. I'm sure it's just coincidence. And somebody else straight up said, it is obvious this is part of the settlement. There is no way any one driver has this type of advantage over 3 races. And to be fair, not everybody bought it. One reply basically laughed and said, here comes the, this was part of the settlement conspiracy theorist. And Alan Cavanagh posted that people were calling into the SiriusXM post-race claiming something's fishy. Like 2 wins was fine, but 3 suddenly broke everyone's brains. That's the vibe right now. The sport just had a historic moment, and half the conversation turned into, yeah, but what if it's fake? So where does Shane van Gisbergen come into it? Because SVG is the easiest receipt people want to use. If he says anything that sounds like frustration, if he hints at anything, fans will treat it like gospel. See, even SVG knows something's up. Except here's the problem for the conspiracy crowd. SVG didn't do that. And before we get to what he said at COTA, there's a piece of SVG's story that matters more than people realize, because it explains why he reacts the way he does. SVG's career switch that almost happened. This part shocked me. SVG has talked about how close he came to taking a completely different path instead of chasing racing the way he did. In one interview, he described a moment early on where the money dried up, the opportunities weren't guaranteed, and he had to make a real decision about whether racing was going to be a career or just something he loved that wasn't going to pay the bills. That matters because SVG isn't built like someone who needs to pretend. He's not the guy who's going to walk into a microphone and play into internet drama because it gets clicks. His whole personality is tell the truth, tell it clean, go back to work, which is exactly why his post-race reaction at COTA is such a big deal. After COTA, Shane van Gisbergen basically gave one of the most honest second-place interviews you can give. He said, it's weird to be disappointed to be second. Still a great points day. And right there, you can hear it. That's not anger at NASCAR. That's not a shot at 23XI. That's a racer saying, yeah, I'll take the points, but I came here to win. Then he went even further. And this is the part conspiracy people conveniently skip. SVG praised Reddick. He said just following Tyler, his driving was immaculate, and his car was very good too. Tyler was just amazing. That's not a guy hinting at cheating. That's not NASCAR handed it to them. That's literally the most painful compliment in racing. He was cleaner than me, and he was better than me. So if you're NASCAR, and you're watching the internet scream rigged, but the runner-up, the guy everyone assumes would be the loudest if something was off, is out here saying, nope, he was immaculate. What do you even do with that? Because NASCAR's big trouble isn't that SVG is accusing them. It's the opposite. NASCAR's problem is the sport just had a legitimate historic run, and a chunk of the fan base doesn't want to accept legitimacy anymore unless their driver is winning. And SVG's comments expose that. Why the cheating row exploded anyway. Here's what's really going on. Reddick, winning 3 in a row, hit a psychological tripwire. If it was 1 win, people shrug. Daytona is chaos. If it's 2 wins, people get annoyed. Atlanta is drafting, anything can happen. But 3 wins across 3 very different tracks is where fans who already don't like the team start reaching for the only storyline that makes them feel better. It's not real, and because 23LX was in the lawsuit spotlight, people connected dots that don't actually connect. That's why this got loud. And even NASCAR insiders have been blunt about it. Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi talked about the conspiracy claims and basically treated it like comedy because logically it makes no sense. Gluck said the idea that NASCAR would secretly rig 3 wins after a lawsuit is ridiculous and pointed out how fans can say NASCAR can't even get things right, then suddenly claim NASCAR is capable of orchestrating perfect outcomes across superspeedways and a road course. Bianchi even joked about how absurd it would be for a settlement to include "we want Daytona, Atlanta, and COTA" like it's an order at a drive-thru. So when you line it up, the internet screams rigged. The insiders laugh at the logic, and the runner-up literally says the winner's driving was immaculate. That's not a cheating scandal. That's a credibility problem in the fan conversation. So what actually happened on track? Let's keep it simple in NASCAR terms. SVG was right there. He had the pace to be in the fight. He's good enough to win that race. And everyone knows it, but at the end of that event, the difference wasn't a mystery part or a secret advantage. It was execution. Reddick didn't give SVG the usual road course opening, a missed apex, a wheel hop, a moment where you can shove your nose in and make the other guy defend. That's what SVG meant when he said Reddick was immaculate. If the leader doesn't make mistakes, the guy chasing has to create something. And on a road course, creating something usually means risking your tires,